This project is the Personal Hero Portrait. Our feature artists are Kehinde Wiley and Amy Sherald. Amy Sherald is known for painting skin tones in grayscale, so using black, white, grays, and all the values in between. She does this to challenge our conception of color to represent race. She makes monumental or huge paintings of individuals she encounters and meets, and she constructs new identities for them by choosing what clothes they wear and what objects they have around them. This is a quote from Amy Sherald. I want people to be able to imagine life outside of the circumscribed stereotype or identity that can be controlled by many circumstances, such as your environment, your parents, your friends, your skin color, your class, etc. Imagination allows you to bend the rules of the temporal world. I just want them to see that a more beautiful world exists beyond the confines of your environment. These are a couple paintings that Amy Sherald has done. I'm just going to go ahead and click through a few of them, and you can just kind of study them. You can pause the video if you want to look at any of the artworks a little longer. And you'll notice that Michelle Obama is the one on the left, so she actually painted the First Lady, or the former First Lady's portrait. And this is Kehinde Wiley. He's known for vibrant portraits. He always bases those portraits off of photographs that he takes of young black men, and occasionally he takes photographs of women as well, who look empowered and brave in the paintings. His images usually have Rococo-style frills and empowering poses from art history. So in that bottom left, there's an arrow pointing to the Rococo style. It's very curly and wavy and fancy, kind of floral elements. He always incorporates those into the backgrounds of his paintings. So his work is best shown as an example next to the old photograph, or not photograph, but old painting that they are based off of. So remember, you should remember from your research the other day that he would pick random people off the street and let them pick from different art history poses, and then he would paint them in the pose that they chose. Here's an excerpt from New York Magazine about Wiley's artwork. A Wiley painting is easy to recognize. More often than not, it shows a solitary figure, an attractive man in his 20s, enacting a scene from an old master painting, dressed in contemporary garb, a hooded sweatshirt perhaps, or a Denver Broncos jersey. The man might be crossing the Swiss Alps on horseback with the brio of Napoleon, or glancing upward, prophet-style, golden light encircling his head. Typically, the man has a lean frame, and his clear skin gives off a coppery sheen. His posture is regal, shoulders rolled back, head turned slightly to reveal the elegant sweep of a jawline. Every Wiley painting is a two-punch affair. The masculine figures contrast sharply with the ornately patterned, Skittles-bright backdrops unfurling behind them. Based on design sources as varied as Victorian wallpaper and Renaissance tapestries, the backgrounds can look as if thousands of curling petals had somehow been blown into geometric formations across the canvas. For the moment depicted in the painting, the men are protected and invincible, inhabiting an Arcadian realm far removed from the grit of the artist's childhood. Here's a couple paintings a little more close up, not side by side with a pose that they chose from, but you can see those really detailed floral elements. You can see the detail in the shading on the bodies. And again, go ahead and pause the video if you want to look at any of these paintings longer. So I'm going to go ahead and go through those main points, those style qualities that each artist has. You might find some similarities between the two, you might find some differences. So Amy Sherald always has a black, gray, and white or a grayscale skin portrait. The background is a flat color, and the background uses soft pastel colors. The clothing is colorful and patterned. The poses are unique, usually from around the leg and up. Now Kehinde Wiley, his portraits are always rich, very colorful. They have an ornate patterned background, usually focuses on young black men and empowerment. There is pattern in the background, always vibrant colors. They have regular modern clothing, unique poses, also usually from around the leg and up. And he also has floral elements layered over the person, kind of overlapping them in front. So here are a couple elements and principles that we're going to focus on for this project. The first one I'll talk about is contrast and value. So we want to make sure that we have a high level of contrast or differences between different values that we have, especially in the portrait part of the person. So looking at this example of Kehinde Wiley's painting, you can see the really high highlights and the dark shadows, and you want to combine those in the portrait so you have a wide range of values and really showing the contrast or difference between those values. With pattern, both of our artists use pattern, but they use them in different locations. So you get to choose kind of which artist you're going to align with a little bit more, whether like Wiley, you're going to put a floral pattern or some sort of pattern in the background, or more like Sherald, where you're going to put that pattern mainly in the clothing. We're also going to talk about proportions of the face, proportions of the body, but we really want to make sure that the proportions are well done so it looks like a real person. And the last little set of elements and principles we're going to include with this project is color and unity. So we want to unify our artwork so it all feels very cohesive, and a good way to do that is by using color. So in the artwork on the left with the young boy, you can see that he's wearing a red shirt, and then in the background, the centers of the flowers are also red. That's kind of bringing some sort of connection between the background and the subject. And then the image on the right of the young woman, she's got yellow lemons on her dress, and then the background is also yellow. Slightly different values of yellow, but there's still that sort of connecting thread between the two, and that is the color, unifying those two components. Now this project we're actually going to do in a mixed media format. So I'm listing the different material options you have for this project. The background and the person are going to be made with different materials. So you might choose one material for the person's skin. You might choose one material for the person or the background behind the person. You could also do the clothes with a third material if you wanted to, but you could also just do the clothes with the same material that you did for the skin. Your options are shading pencils, tempera paint, colored pencils, and collage. If you think of another idea that you would rather do instead, you can add that as well. You can ask me and we'll kind of figure that part out. What I'm going to leave you with after this video, you're going to start to think about what makes a hero. This project we're going to make as a personal hero. So you're going to choose who is your hero. And I just want to show you that I actually got to go see a Wiley portrait in person at the Milwaukee Art Museum last winter. It was really cool and I was really excited to see it. Just thought I'd like to show you how large of a scale it is and how awesome they look in person. And this was a little just kind of description of the painting that the museum had. If you would like to read from this a little bit, you can pause the video, but this is the end of our personal hero portrait presentation.